Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to Norway once again. We're returning to Scandinavia. I'm a little bit homesick these days of course, and for this one we are going to go to one of the kind of classic Norwegian craft breweries, and this is actually one of the kind of pioneering craft beers from Norway, I would say. So we're going to return to Nøgne Ø, who are from Grimstad in the south of the country, and we're having a taste of the Imperial Stout. I have of course tried the Dark Horizon from these guys. Tom Young from the brewery was very kind and sent me a bottle of that over with a nice Nøgne glass, which unfortunately I don't have with me. That is back in Sweden still, but I'm really glad I'm getting to try this one, and it is always cool to go back and try these kind of cult classic beers. I don't know why I've never got around to this one, but I saw it in the shop the other day and thought, you know, why the hell not? So as always with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Nøgne Ø before. This is review number 4 if I'm remembering correctly. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city or state, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all my Norwegian beers that I've reviewed for you, and that's constantly being added to. And please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review, especially if you're watching in Norway. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you give the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Nøgne Ø then. So Nøgne Ø was founded back in 2002 by Gunnar Vig and Kjetil Jikjen, and they're based in Grimstad in Norway, which is in Aust-Agder county in the Sørland region in southern Norway, as I was saying earlier. But it's a little maritime town, and it's split among many little different islands called Skjærgård, and it's got a population of only around 21,000 people. So that is kind of biggish in Norwegian terms. There's only about 4.5 million people in Norway, something like that, but generally it's quite a sort of sparse population that they have there, I guess you would say. But Nøgne Ø apparently means naked isle in Old Danish, and it is similar in Swedish. Danish, Norwegian, Swedish of course are quite related, but it was chosen from a well-known 19th century poem called Terje Veien, which was written by Henrik Ibsen, who worked for some time in Grimstad as an apprentice pharmacist. So Gunnar and Kjetil were apparently home brewers, and they decided to start brewing on a larger scale, just mainly because there was a real lack of diversity in beer in Norway, and apparently 98% of the beer in Norway sold today is still the kind of yellow factory lager sort of thing. But they started off with a capacity of around 300 hectolitres back in 2003, and for a number of years they existed without paid employees. People in the local town were really quite happy to give up their time and volunteer to help run this brewery, but nowadays they've got a staff from all over the place. There's Malaysians, there's Swedes, Norwegians, I think there's a few Scottish people who've worked in there as well, there's Canadians, Americans, Burmese, I think they had, there's some Japanese folk in there as well. There's lots of people from different countries working at this brewery in Norway. But they also boast the title of being Europe's first sake brewery, and apparently they brew all their sakes using the Yamahai method, and they use Grimpu rice from Hokkaido in Japan. If you ever go to Japan, by the way, don't just stick to the likes of Tokyo. Hokkaido is an absolutely beautiful, beautiful place. That's one of my favourite places in the world, I would say. But they've got 5 or so different products in this range, and the symbol that they use on the sakes as well is quite similar, apart from the fact that they use the Japanese characters Hadakajima, which of course means naked island in Japanese. And the sakes are supposed to be pretty damn good as well. I think they went out to Japan and actually trained how to make them, so maybe I need to actually go up and ask them if they can show me how to brew my own sakes as well. That would be pretty damn cool. But as of 2013, Hansa-Borg, one of the big breweries in Norway, bought a 55% share in the company, and they've been building the capacity up of the brewery and the exports ever since. And these guys actually have a few blogs and things on their website where you can keep up to date with exactly what's going on. But as I say, these guys were considered one of the kind of pioneering craft breweries in Norway, and the craft beer bug really is kind of kicking off there as well. There's some really, really good beers coming out of Norway, as there are for Denmark and Sweden. The Scandinavian beer scene is very, very strong, and Nøgne Ø were one of the ones who kicked it off. So yeah, that's all you really need to know about Nøgne Ø. If you want to read more about them, go and check out the website. That's in the description below as usual. But without further ado then, let's actually get on to tasting this beer itself. So just to tell you a little bit about this one then. So the notes I have on this beer, it has a malt base of Maris Otter, Munich Black and chocolate malts. There's some roasted barley in there as well, and it's hopped with crystalline Columbus from America, and it uses an English ale yeast strain apparently. So on the back here it says Imperial Stout from Nøgne Ø is very rich, creamy and completely black ale with flavours of coffee, chocolate, leather and dried fruits. Imperial Stout pairs well with dark chocolate and similar desserts. Serve it at 12 degrees to enjoy the full flavours, and this beer ages well apparently. So just like have a little brief look at the artwork, it is very similar. All of these Nøgne Ø beers tend to be similar apart from the colour of the Ø, of course. So yeah, Naked Island there. There you can see Keitel Yiken's signature on the back. I think Gunnar Vig isn't actually involved in the brewery anymore. I think it is just Keitel who is still involved there. And there you can see the Nøgne bottle cap on this one. But yeah, this was a really nice beer. It cost me, I think, £6, £7 maybe to get this one, and my friend was wondering why the hell I was getting it at that price. But then you have to explain it's Norway, their currency is really strong, and you know, Nøgne, it's just a pretty damn, some of their Imperial Stouts especially are just pretty damn good, so why not? So yeah, as you can see, a nice kind of smoky opening on that, and as you open it up you get a bit of that kind of typical kind of dark chocolatey note that you'll get from these lovely big Imperial Stouts. It's, for some reason it seems to be that the Scandinavians, they're just beasts at doing Imperial Stouts. If you think at Herr Fredriksson from Amar, you've got loads of good ones from the Black Hole from Mikkeler. You know, there's some really damn good Imperial Stouts. But yeah, as you can see, this one here is poured exactly as you'd expect. A nice dark ebony rosewood colour. There's a frothy half finger, I would say, of that dark, quite tan beigey head. There's one or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and quite a few wee ones that just going up towards the bottom of that head there. But overall, you know, it looks pretty damn nice. It looks pretty much exactly as you would expect for an Imperial Stout. Like I say, this guy comes in at 9% ABV. Let's take a closer look at the aroma and see how we get on. Yeah. What's interesting about this is you can smell a good bit of that Maris Otter malt coming out. I always found the Maris Otter malts, the English malts, they do have this kind of distinctive breadiness about them. It's almost a kind of more grainy bready character that comes out of them, and you can definitely pick up that in this beer. But the nice dark chocolates in there, you can smell the roasted kind of, it's not quite coffee bean this one, you can really smell the kind of roasted black malts just underpinning the beer. There's a lot of that kind of nice thicker chocolate in there as well. But yeah, bit of brown sugar in there as well, definitely some kind of caramel, sort of treacle kind of thing, but it does lean more towards the roasty, toasty side of things. Those black malts are really pushing their way out. Chocolate, like I was saying, there's a wee bit of an almost woody character. You can get a little bit of a woody spice. It doesn't have the kind of sweetness and nuts or anything like that. For me it comes across as more woody than anything else. But yeah, a little bit of earthy hop. You can smell a wee touch of the kind of grassiness and stuff you'd expect from the Crystal and the Columbus that's in here. You can smell a little bit of that, but the earthiness is coming out nicely, and you can smell some of those red fruits. The fruity character in this one's quite sharp. It's a sort of raisiny kind of plum thing that's coming out of this, but for me, this beer really leans towards the roasty, toasty side of things. You can smell the oily, chocolatey caramel and stuff coming out of it, but for me, in terms of aroma, really more of a roasty, toasty, chocolatey type thing that's coming out of this one. But it smells lovely. It doesn't smell quite as sweet as the Dark Horizon from what I remember, but I do remember the Dark Horizon having that kind of distinctive roasty base to it as well. So maybe that's the kind of trademark of these Nøgne Imperial Stouts. But without further ado then, let's get stuck into this one. So this one is the classic Imperial Stout from Nøgne in Grimstad in the very south of Norway. Let's get stuck in. Skål! Yeah, it's really pretty nice, I have to say. It's really interesting because I was expecting it to be just a little bit thicker in the mouthfeel. It's got a nice oily character, but at the same time, you know, it does kind of go down quite nicely, and in a way it surprises me, in a way it doesn't, because, you know, the Norwegian water is going to be of a really good quality. You can feel a little bit, I always find a lot of people, I've had arguments with beer tubers and stuff before about water going into beer, but I'd say when I've moved around different places, water does taste different. You can really taste, there is something about the water that goes into this beer, and I do remember saying that about the other Nøgne beers as well, and some of the other ones that you get from northern Sweden, and places like that. And some of the beers that we have in Scotland as well, you really can taste the water having an effect on the beer, and you just get that feeling out of this one, and it affects the mouthfeel a little bit. But this is a nice beer, make no mistake about that. Yeah. What I like about this one is you can feel the roasty bitter characters just underpinning the beer, but it smooths out just in a really, really nice way. I love how it does that. It's just, everything goes together in this one really well, and I remember saying the same about the Dark Horizon. This one's a bit more of a kind of straight up, and of course it's nowhere near the 16% that the Dark Horizon was, but this is a damn good beer. So let's just say, before we actually even get into the more complex tasting notes, great thumbs up to Nøgne Ø for this one. So yeah, so like I was saying, you get this nice roasted black malt base that comes in and just kind of underpin, it just kind of blankets the middle of your palate. On top of that, and it starts to come out a little bit more as you go further and further into the aftertaste. That roasty black malt character just pushes its way out. But on top of that, there's a lot of this dark chocolate sitting there. There is some really dark roasty brown sugars in there as well. In the middle of your palate, you can feel, as the flavour progresses, there is a little bit of an almost woody and kind of spicy flavour comes out of it, which is really interesting. Yeah, that's really good. This one definitely doesn't have the sweetness that the other one had. It really does lean more towards that kind of roasty, toasty, black malt kind of thing. But I just love how it all goes together. On the hoppy side of things, as you'd expect, in the back corners of your palate, there's a good bit of an earthy character there, and it's actually got quite a bit of bitterness to it, to be honest. But as you come further forward, you can feel it just kind of smoothing out. There's maybe a wee tiny little bit of herbal character, and around the front curve of the tongue, you can feel some of that earthiness is still there, but it just becomes a little bit lighter and grassy. The crystal hop, of course, is quite a popular one for American brewers to use in the Imperial Stouts, and it does work really well. On the fruity side of things, if you just go behind the front curve of the palate, you'll feel that little oily bubble where the nice juicy red fruity esters come out of the beer. So there's a little bit of candied red fruit in this one. It does have a little bit of that kind of raisiny character, but to me it definitely leans a little bit more towards the kind of candied and slightly juicier side of things. It doesn't quite have the sharpness as some of the Imperial Stouts in terms of fruitiness that I've come across before, but that suits it when it's leaning towards the more kind of roasty, toasty, bitter kind of thing. But as you would expect, all the complexity to this one is in the middle of your palate. So like I say, that roasted black malt bitterness is sitting there. It pushes its way out as you come further on through the taste of the beer. You can feel some of that bready character from the Maris Otter malt, and there's definitely a little bit of that sort of trademark, that kind of trademark graininess that you get from these English malts. You can definitely pick that up there. There's a nice big bit of chocolate, some roasted brown sugars. You can feel there's a little bit of a caramelly note right in the middle of your tongue, and there's almost just a bit of a slightly woody, spicy character as you go further into the aftertaste as well. But the main point to take away is that everything kind of blends together really quite well. But in terms of Imperial Stouts, definitely leans more towards the kind of roasty, toasty, bitter side of things than anything else. In terms of the mouthfeel then, it's definitely a full-bodied beer. Carbonation is soft. For me, it leans towards the oily side of things. You can definitely pick up a little bit of the water in this one. It feels like really, really clean. And it's not the thickest of Imperial Stouts that I've come across, but I would definitely stick to saying that it's a full-bodied beer. There's a good little bit of bitterness from the hops. The malt base, like I say, really leans towards the roasty, toasty side of things, but it does have a little element of sweetness, and you've got a wee bit of juicy, fruity character in there as well. But overall, it's a really, really pretty damn good beer. You wouldn't expect anything else from these guys, especially in the dark beer category, of course. But they've done a great job with this one, and it is cool to finally get around to trying one of these kind of classic Imperial Stouts from Norway. I've tried a lot of the ones from Sweden, I've tried quite a lot of the ones from Denmark as well. So it is finally cool to get around to one from Norway. So as always, I hope you've enjoyed my take on this beer. Thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Do check out my social media. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below, and let me know what your favourite beers are from Nøgne Ø as well. And do recommend some other Norwegian craft beers for me to have a look at. But I'm really glad I finally got around to reviewing this one. And like I say, I hope you guys have enjoyed it. So the Imperial Stout from Nøgne Ø in Grimstad in the very south of Norway. Until the next time, it's Slange just now, and I will catch you guys very soon. Cheers.